working on it, putting a link together so I can drop it in chat. So I'm actually ahead of the curve, but we're getting there. They hear this. They just don't see anything. What's going on, everybody? Here we are. And boom, we are live. Thursday, April 18th. Whew, split slate today. What do we got? 4 games on the early. I assume DraftKings doesn't have that 6:35 Royals Yankees game on their main slate. So we'll have a weird main slate again, coming off of yesterday's dominant Carlos Carrasco performance. Coming off of, I don't know, did anything else interesting happen in baseball yesterday? Go Rays, I guess.
A few things. Yeah, I mean, the Rays, Matt Harvey looked like he may have actually had a decent start for a few minutes there and then collapsed.
Yeah.
My dude Eric Swanson goes 6 with 1 run and 5 Ks. That was pretty nice.
Yeah. He was getting a little steam for ownership on FanDuel. The line looked really nice. That's might be a guy that we have to keep an eye on moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, his Zips and Steamer were at like 8.9 Ks per 9, so not bad numbers.
No, not at all. We're going to go through all 10 games. We're going to start with the early slate right out of the gate. MLB Strategy is the promo code, 50% off your first month with us. Any monthly package you choose, including packages with Fantasy Cruncher. So if you're looking to sign up, now's the perfect time to do it. We've got content for a ton of sports. And MLB Strategy.
You know what else?
No, go ahead.
Sorry. No. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Go for it now. No, the flow's broken.
I screwed up, man. It's too early, and I messed up. I was gonna say we won our men's league hockey championship last night. That's what I cut you off for.
Ooh, glad we got that in, man. Couldn't wait on that one.
We are the first three-peat in this league's history. So, yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. My apologies, though, dude. I was literally just thinking about myself and about that, and totally forgot that you were doing a read. So, you said a lot of live content. We got a lot of good stuff. Back to you, Josh.
I'm dead now, man. I got nothing.
No, come on now.
We are brought to you, though, by Yahoo Sports. That I can plug. I dropped a link in the chat right now. If you want to sign up to play DFS at Yahoo, I highly recommend you use that link. That is very beneficial to us. You can use the promo code AWESOMO when signing up, and you'll get $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points be used to enter contests. I think that I got that acronym correctly. But Yahoo is our presenting sponsor now for the strategy show in the morning, for the deeper dive in the early evening.
And the early bird.
Yes, and the early bird as well. That is a good point. Lots of Yahoo all over the place. Tomorrow we will have a Yahoo-specific strategy show. Myself and EMAC will be knocking that out in the morning. It's just a great place to play. 10 max keeps you away from 150 lineup enterers. It's going to be softer competition. I highly recommend that being your first place you put contests in each morning. What else do we have to plug? I think that's probably it, right?
I believe that is all we have.
Yeah, I'm probably missing something, but yeah. Let's just tackle this slate. So we've got 4 games on the early. Is the Braves Diamondbacks game included on DK?
Is the Braves Diamondback? I'll tell you right now. Yes, it is. 12-10 game. We've got it. We got the 4 games here: 12-10, 105, and 2 110s.
Okay, so that's good. We have the same stuff in the morning. That's always helpful. So let's talk baseball.
Make it happen.
I remember what I was going to plug before Lafayette had to let us know that he three-peated in hockey.
Gonna get that banner hung, baby.
That's very true.
Who's
leaving the team now? Who's the Kevin Durant of your hockey team?
We got it used to be me, and then I stopped being in good shape, and things fell apart. But no, we got our boy named Kev. He actually yesterday, I think it was a pretty much a team effort. Nobody had more than 1 or 2 goals. We scored with a minute left to go up. It was a high scoring game. Go up 6-5 and put this one to rest. But yeah, it was a good game.
Josh Donaldson was grading out like a really nice play, but might not be in the lineup. Kind of annoying.
Is he not in the lineup? Do we not have it already?
I don't know. Someone just said Donaldson out, Camargo in, but That's not coming up in any sort of feed that I have. So
he's
see.
right. He's right. Camargo batting second. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Albies, Camargo, Freeman, Acuna, Markakis, Swanson, Flowers, Inciarte, Soroka.
What I wanted to plug, though, people have been asking for a while now, when am I going to do a Fantasy Cruncher MLB video? And, well, the original answer was supposed to be last week, and then we all realized that there were still 2 more days in the NBA season because that stupid Monday didn't have any and tricked me.
Tricked me too.
I was looking to do it this past Monday, but there was no potential way for me to do that. I would have sounded like garbage. So this Monday, noon Eastern time, Fantasy Cruncher for MLB. I will be doing a video breaking it all down, how to use it, how to stack, how to do it all. And then immediately following that, from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, if you are a premium sub, I will be in Slack for office hours. So back to back, you're getting a ton of it. Get ready, everybody. All right, let's bang this out. I really wish that I can get this lineup. I don't know where anyone else. Where are you? I can't ask you where you're seeing it because you probably can't give me that answer. Somewhere else.
Yeah, I have it though. I can tell you that.
Albies, Camargo. Is Camargo hitting second?
Camargo batting second. Yeah.
Freeman, Acuna, Markakis, Swanson, Inciarte, Flowers.
Swanson, Flowers, Swanson, Flowers, Inciarte.
Okay, well, I'm not fixing this then until I get it so that I could import it.
Yeah, I'm gonna shoot you over it.
Okay. I'm pretty sure I know where I need to go. Oh, that'd have been cool if you just said that one out loud, I think.
Well, just in case,
Yeah. That's not what I expected you to say. So are these... Man, I don't know who's slacking. Well, I mean, I guess I know exactly who's slacking, considering I know how the lineups I use get posted, but I'm just going to go with this for right now. Braves and Diamondbacks. Braves 4.8 run implied total. Diamondbacks 4.4. It's a 54% chance to win for the Braves. Mike Soroka going for Atlanta. Luke Weaver going for Arizona. So, how do you feel about Soroka? I have some thoughts, but I'm going to give it to you first.
All right. Well, first of all, I think he's pretty decent. I mean, there's nothing about Soroka that would suggest he's not a pretty good pitcher, but now he's coming off of I guess what was his injury? Do you remember? An elbow?
No. I was going to say that it was something like his hip. That's just what's in the top of my head right now, but I don't know that I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember. But the thing is, you're not getting him. He's not very cheap in his first start here. He's $9,100 on DraftKings, which is pretty intense. On FanDuel, however, he's $7,300. And then pulling up Yahoo here, if you have it pulled up already, that would.
He's 32.
He's $32 on Yahoo. Okay, so
now shoulder discomfort, by the way.
Shoulder. So he's cheap on FanDuel and Yahoo. And he's facing an Arizona team that, I mean, they have some strikeouts. Let me look at this lineup. Arizona's got Vargas, Flores, Peralta, Jones, Walker, Marte, Castro, Kelly, Weaver. I mean, yeah, outside of a few guys in this lineup, Flores doesn't hit righties very well. This actually is not a bad spot at all. I guess the question is, number one, how deep do we see Soroka go into this game? He can get strikeouts. I mean, I know Soroka can get some Ks. It's tough when you're getting a guy coming back in his first start, and you don't necessarily know what his leash is going to look like. Plus, he's only thrown 25 innings at the major league level, so I definitely think the guy has a ton of potential, but we haven't seen that much from him at the highest level to know, how he's going to fare.
Yeah, so I feel differently. I'm not a fan.
You
He's a
don't think he's
guy.
good, you're saying?
What?
You're saying you don't think he's good, right?
If he's good, he will end up being the exception instead of the norm. So Soroka is a guy that gets by on really, really pinpoint command of his fastball. And we see these guys come around. He's a top 50 prospect. We see these guys come around. It's probably like one on every top 100 list for as far back as I can think. And we ultimately end up seeing these guys a lot of the time turn into like quad A players. They can dominate because of their command in AAA. And when they get to the majors, their stuff is like a half step behind where it needs to be to really put people out, and they become incredibly hittable. Yusmeiro Petit is the example that I use a lot for this, where he was a top 10 prospect in baseball, getting by on pinpoint command in the minors, and it just could not translate when he got to the majors. He became incredibly hittable because while he had great command, he had nothing to get people off of that pitch. I am usually dubious of guys like that as they're coming up, and that's sort of how I feel about Soroka. He's not. You're going to see starts for him where he's cruising, and more so than a lot of guys in the league, this would be a spot where I would want to know who the umpire is behind the plate and who his catcher is. If you get those situations where you get a very favorable pitching umpire and a good pitch framer, Soroka can be set up to have a fantastic day. If you get the inverse, I think he gets shellacked because there's no margin for error there. If painting the corners the way that he can is not in the cards on a particular day, he doesn't have the stuff to get out of it.
I don't think you're wrong at all. I mean, I these type of guy, Joe Musgrove is a similar pitcher who has always relied on just control and doesn't have the stuff to get you swinging out of your shoes. But I still think if he can, if he's capable of being able to get even relatively decent swing and miss numbers on the slider and changeup, this because the slider grades out as a really solid pitch. The changeup's okay. That'll be the difference maker. When you come into this league, nobody's ever really has every pitch fine tuned. If you can come in and have two secondary pitches that are really that you can continue to improve on, then I wouldn't be so concerned. But if you only have the slider, and the slider is the only pitch that you can use to get you out of situations, out of bad situations, or out of 0-2 counts, then yeah, he's probably going to have some struggles. But I guess we'll wait and see, because this Atlanta lineup to me is not that imposing.
Soroka projected for 16% ownership on DraftKings today. 76 going to Corbin, 66 going to Pineda, just in case you needed some reference points.
Yeah, I mean, that's
in that case, I am a little bit more interested. Look, his price on DraftKings is stupid. He should not be 9,100. That is a very, very silly price tag. There's a reason he's not getting as much ownership. But he should not be 66 to 16 Pineda to Soroka in this spot. So while I would approach him a little bit with kid gloves, that ownership is not a problem. And he's only projected for 9% ownership on FanDuel. That I think is also relatively feasible. I expected it to be a little bit higher. Just looking at the slate and looking at some chatter before we came live. But so sort of ignore everything that I just said. He's more in play from a DFS perspective because of his ownership.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the other pitchers on this slate, it makes sense, because you're not going to, like Corbin against San Francisco, he's going to be the most popular option here. Pineda against Toronto, a struggling Toronto team that's looked pretty awful throughout, the course of the season already. That would make enough sense to where Soroka gets kind of overlooked here. He's sandwiched in between those. He's $900 more expensive than Pineda. That doesn't make much sense to me.
No, it's super silly.
At all. So yeah, I can see it. And plus, like I said, I don't think it's the most difficult matchup for Soroka either.
That's what. So it's weird. The Diamondbacks projected lineup that I have in here right now only has a 19% aggregate K rate. So I don't know what we'd be looking for him to do here.
Well, the thing is that the Giants lineup is not going to have a ton of strikeouts in it either.
I see. I have them at 21%. That's a pretty sizable jump. I also think that Pat Corbin has massively better stuff.
Of course he does.
Yeah. Corbin is on another level for this slate. Okay, so how do you feel about 16% ownership on Soroka on DK?
I mean, I think that I'd have no problem getting there a little bit. He's not a special, like he's not special. You know, he's not. It's not like you've got him coming up out of the minor league system and you expect him to be stellar right away, and he's going to be one. He's the next Clayton Kershaw.
No.
I certainly don't expect that, but I would not be surprised at all to see him come out here and toss a really strong game in his first outing. So that's really all it comes down to for me.
Okay.
It's 4 games. You got to do something different at some point.
How do you feel about Luke Weaver on the opposite side?
I just don't think Luke Weaver is a good pitcher, so that should give you enough.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
and he gets a park downgrade. Or actually, no, I'm sorry, not a downgrade. They're both these are both actually pretty equal parks for right-handed pitchers. SunTrust is not great for righties. It's good for lefty bats. I think Luke Weaver probably struggles in this spot. I don't see any way he gets strikeouts against an Atlanta team that's just loaded with contact. You won't see me getting to Luke Weaver here.
What's really crazy is that I would probably rather have Luke Weaver than Soroka on DraftKings. But I don't like it. I just, because of his price. Him being $1,700 more than him is just so ridiculous. Like I obviously have Soroka projected higher than Luke Weaver. I think Soroka is a better pitcher than Luke Weaver. He's just so disadvantageously priced.
Yeah, I can never get to Weaver here at really any price against Atlanta. I just don't see this being a game where he has any upside.
I do not disagree with you whatsoever. It's basically Corbin and then 7 other guys that I think are the same relative to their salary, and it makes it really difficult.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Pineda, but we'll wait till we get to that game.
Sure. If Pineda's price was like 9,100, like Soroka's, and Soroka's was 8,200, this would really change the scope of DraftKings. So how do you feel about Braves bats here? I assume that you're going to be at least mildly interested in this top part against Weaver.
Sure, yeah. The only thing is Camargo and Albies I like better from the right side, not the left side.
Yeah.
Freeman, I like him a lot here. Acuna's fine. As a stack, I have no issues whatsoever with the Braves. Again, I like the top 2 guys better against lefties, but they have the highest implied run total on the slate. My guess is that they'll have some ownership here, and it would make sense against Weaver. As one-offs or as a stack, I like them. But again, Albies splits from the left and right side are dramatic. Like they're extreme. Few guys on this team that have pretty pronounced splits, but that might not stop you on a 4-game slate.
Yeah, Albies grading out really well for me. I mean, Braves in general looking a lot better on DK than they do on FanDuel and Yahoo. So Albies, Freeman, Acuna, all grading out really nicely. Nice matchup. It's a really good combination for a stack too. You get a first baseman, a second baseman, and an outfielder. It's not like you're just jamming in outfield. So I am going to get to some Braves, which makes me pretty excited because I very rarely do for reasons that I'll never know. No problems using them here against Luke Weaver.
I very rarely get to them either.
Yeah, I want to.
Of course, it comes on a 4-game slate where they're facing Luke Weaver,
Yeah, and they're at 14% aggregate ownership on DraftKings.
Right.
Who's your favorite Braves bet?
It would be Freeman here.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. How do you feel about the Diamondbacks on the other side of Soroka?
That's a little different for me. So one thing about Soroka is this guy has done a crazy job of giving up no power. Like go back to single A, 143 innings, right? 143 innings and 3 home runs allowed, 0.19 home runs per 9. Double A, 153 and 2/3 innings, 10 home runs allowed. That's 0.59 home runs per 9. Triple A level, I can keep it going here. 0 home runs in 27 innings. Last year, he pitched 25 and 2/3 innings with the Braves, and he allowed 1 home run. He really does a phenomenal job of limiting power. This year, he did allow 1 home run across 9 1/3 innings, but it's crazy how he keeps balls in the yard. And I think, when you're looking at stacks, I want to know that there is power. I'm not saying that he can't give up. I'm not saying that it might not happen today, but I do think that you're talking about a guy who gets a very much above average amount of ground balls. Last season with AAA, he got 70% ground balls. His ground ball rate is through the roof. He's not a great pitcher to stack against.
No, I would like them more as one-offs, whether that's Dyson, Escobar, Peralta. Kettle Marte is a little expensive. I can't really advocate for that. A little bit too far down the order. But yeah, like Peralta as a one-off looks pretty nice to me.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much the same spot I was in yesterday. Against who were they facing yesterday? Why can't I remember who they faced yesterday? It was Godley and Gossman.
Yeah.
Like one-offs, like, if you needed to get to Eduardo Escobar, he was terrible, but you get the point. Or a David Peralta, but David Peralta outfield was unnecessary. From one-offing these guys, I'd rather do it at positions that don't have as much depth.
For sure. Favorite Diamondbacks bet?
Favorite D-backs bat? God, I'd say I guess Peralta.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it has to be Peralta, but like I almost want to say with such a short slate Vargas and go with the leadoff bat here, but I mean he's just not very good.
Works for me. Nats and Giants, 4.9 run implied total for the Nats, 3.5 for the Giants, 35% chance. Whoop, I said that backwards. 65% chance to win for the Nats. It's Pat Corbin going for Washington. Drew Pomeranz going for the Giants. Corbin projected for 50% ownership on FanDuel, 75 on DraftKings. And that's exactly how it should be. He is, without question, the clear best option on any site. It doesn't matter. It's just not comparable. He has the best stuff. He has an okay matchup from a strikeouts perspective. The 21% aggregate K rate via steamer is going to work, but 3.5 run implied total for the Giants is the lowest on the early slate. I have a really difficult time trying to get away from Corbin. Sometimes someone is just so far separated from the field that they should be chalk, and I think this is one of those spots, even in baseball.
Yeah, I agree. Let me ask you though, who are the players on this team that strike out against lefties?
I would guess Brandon Belt.
That's one player. I'm saying is that
I'm brain's not moving as fast, man. Just trying to look at names and strikeout rates.
Mine's not moving very fast today either. I'm with you.
I don't know what if Tyler Austin K is at 32%, it doesn't matter which hand it's coming against. You can't get to 32% without it happening against both. No idea on Eric Kratz. Everybody else is sort of like league average.
Yeah. Some of them are low. I'm saying there's a few teams in this league that once you put them on the other side, once you put a lefty on the mound, their K rates just fall through the floor.
Sure.
I'm just curious. I'm pulling up the Giants 2018 stats that strikeouts versus lefties, just to see where they come in at. So, and their active roster. So even if guys were on a different team last year, we'll see what it was. But honestly, most of their team is pretty similar. So Giants versus lefties in 2018. Is there anyone? Let's see here. I got it right here. So, all right. Austin, 101 plate appearance. He was up there. Steven Duggar, only 46, but he was up there. And Brandon Belt. So you have Austin, Duggar, and Belt at 31, 30, and 23.6. Those are going to be those are the spots that you're going to need to get the strikeouts, because a few of these guys, like Pilar doesn't strike out, Longo doesn't strike out against lefties. I don't know if Solarte will be in the lineup, but him, Posey, Pan, those guys don't strike out against lefties. You got you're going to have 5 or 6 guys that have sub 15% K rates against lefties, but then a few that'll strike out a lot. Again, though, what are your alternatives to Corbin anyway?
Right. Yeah, that's the problem. There's no one else that sort of matches his ceiling. He is 5 times more likely, or almost 5 times more likely to hit his target score on FanDuel than any other pitcher on FanDuel. The only guy, the next closest guy is Pineda. It's just not even remotely in the same ballpark. He's got a monster price tag, but I feel like he's the only guy who can get to this slate and make it so that if you don't have him, you're dead. I don't really think that anybody else has that same sort of ceiling. Now, he also has the same sort of floor. He can kill you if he only puts up 30 at that price tag, but I can't see a scenario where I get away from him. I ran my first crunch on FanDuel this morning and got 100% Corbin.
Really?
Yeah. It's just he's so far and away my favorite option here that it's going to be hard to be very different.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't like it. I will run a new crunch with different exposure caps now that we have our ownership projections out. But for right now, a lot of Corbin is in my future, and I would imagine more than the public.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I have him projected for 6.9 strikeouts. I have Pineda at 5.2. Like, that is just such a massive gap.
There's another guy we'll get to that I have interest in, but I agree that Corbin is clearly the number one here, and it's not particularly close.
I assume neither of us want Drew Pomeranz.
No, I can't. Pomeranz at Oracle Park makes sense, but put him in Nats Park, which is pretty neutral. It's still going to be tough. I still have a lot of respect for this Nationals lineup, and Drew Pomeranz, just when you say you need to have everything working, I mean, he's a 2-pitch guy. He needs that fastball to have life, and it needs to be rising. And then the curveball also needs, like, if you just watch how he pitches, when it's on, it works. But if there's even a little bit off, Pomeranz can't switch it up and be like, oh, I'll throw the changeup more today, or I'll throw the slot. You know what I mean? Or I'll locate my fastball differently and set it up with he is basically your high-low pitcher, high rising fastball, and then drop that curveball in there. Both of them need to be working perfectly, and when they're not, he's going to have some trouble. And also, he just doesn't have that great a swing and miss stuff anymore. So against Washington, I have no problem getting away from. Like I said, there's another guy that I'd rather play at a similar price, cheaper actually.
Okay. How do you feel about Nats bats? Because they're pretty popular, as they should be, and at least a few of them are popping up pretty heavy for me. In particular, Dozier, Juan Soto, Ryan Zimmerman, 3 in particular. How do you feel about the Nats?
Yeah, Nats. I like the Nats bats. I don't see really why you wouldn't. I mean, the couple of them too, like Rendon. We don't have a lineup yet, do we?
Well, I mean, I personally don't have a lineup for anything, so.
All right. Well, the only reason I say that is because with the early games, it's hard to project. It's hard to project a lineup when a lot of teams have played at night.
Yeah.
So you're going to get some guys that'll probably get a break. Meaning 1 or 2 guys that that would have been in the lineup had it been a 7 p.m. game aren't.
That's so silly, by the way.
Yeah. but it happens. I mean, that's
yeah. That doesn't make it any less true.
Pomerantz this year though, he's faced 47 righties, and while he's actually struck them out at 23%, he's still giving up. He's given up 2 home runs already. He's given up a triple, a double, some extra base hits, a 398 WOBA. Like he has not fared particularly well against them. He struck out 11 of the 14 lefties he's faced, and quite frankly, I think that Pomerantz still has Pomerantz against lefties throughout his entire career has been good. I'm not really I don't really have a ton of interest in lefties against Pomerantz. It would be the righties. I still think he can get lefties out with proficiently.
Sure. Yeah, I don't disagree there. Favorite Nats bat?
Well, it would certainly be Anthony Rendon. I mean, I think you have to put him towards the top. I will say Juan Soto has done a decent job of hitting lefties, so I wouldn't be against that. Robles would be batting down in the order. He's kind of interesting, but obviously, a tournament bat only. And then, the catcher position's been garbage. Gomes or Suzuki. I think Suzuki was in the lineup yesterday, so we should have Gomes in the lineup today. Yeah, that would be it. So, and then whatever other righties you have in there.
Yeah. Yeah,
What about
I cannot stop getting Dozier and everything. He's just so underpriced for someone hitting at the top of the lineup. He's like a cash mainstay.
No, you're right. You're talking specifically FanDuel or everywhere.
I mean, he's cheap everywhere, but $10 for a second baseman on Yahoo and $2,300 for a second baseman on FanDuel in the 2-hole is just really, really difficult to pass up. There's the Braves lineup on a site that I won't mention.
Yeah, you are right though. Dozier's obviously it's the same as it's been. Like you don't really want to play him, but you have to.
Yeah. On the Giants side, oh God, it's not a fun team to roster. At least not in my opinion. Tyler Austin getting a little love on DK. First outfield eligibility, 3,600. Makes some sense to me. He's got some pop. If you're going to get anybody here, a righty-lefty matchup for Austin looks pretty nice. Similarly, he's at 19% ownership on FanDuel as a $2,200 first baseman. Also making some sense. Brandon Crawford at 16% ownership on FanDuel at $2,200 for a shortstop. I get it. Probably a little bit aggressive for me. Not really the type of guy that I would want to one-off in this spot. I don't see myself getting to much San Francisco. They're getting a little bit of love from ownership, and I am giving them absolutely zero love.
Yeah, it's the Giants. I mean, look, here's the biggest thing, and this is just if you're just talking straight up game theory, if Corbin were to struggle and you were to have even a mini Giant stack, you're going to win a good amount of money. Like he's projected at 78% ownership on DraftKings, 78%, which is insane. That again, it's a huge risk. It likely isn't going to pay off. San Francisco has a 3.2 run total here, but crazier things have happened. I really do want to see this lineup, though. I really want to see what this lineup looks like against the lefty, but this would really just be a leverage thing, and it's baseball. Seriously, volatility happens. Patrick Corbin does have the propensity at times to give up some home runs, right? I mean, he gave up 3 home runs against the Mets. He's allowed 4 home runs in 3 starts this season. It's not crazy to think that Corbin could still have a decent game, but also give up some solo shots. So cheap Giants bats, put it this way, I don't think I'm as opposed to them as a lot of people would be. Like Tyler Austin is very cheap, and I would want the righties, but a lot of these guys are really, really cheap. So I don't think it's crazy. I will say Buster Posey, I guess people still have this misconception that he can hit lefties for power. That hasn't been the case for several years now.
But. No, it has not. We now have 4 lineups in, I believe. Just got the Tigers lineup. Twins is in, so we'll have a couple more updated things to check out. Do you have anything else for Nats Giants?
No, do you?
I certainly don't.
All right.
Tigers and White Sox, 4.4 run implied total for the Tigers, 4.1 for the White Sox. It's a 53% chance to win for the Tigers. Daniel Norris going for Detroit. Ivan Nova going for Chicago. Neither one of these guys is particularly appealing to me. Nova getting 13% expected ownership on DraftKings right now. Daniel Norris getting just 3%. I think that I would prefer to take Norris than Nova, but I'm not really fond of either one of these guys. Do you see these guys as potential SP2s for you?
Are you sure it's not Tyson Ross? Did Ross get scratched or something?
No, I'm pretty sure it's Tyson Ross. I don't know.
You said Daniel Norris. That's why I'm asking you.
I did say Daniel Norris. That is a shout out to Fangraphs.
Oh, okay. Okay, so
yeah, you're probably right.
I think.
Wait, no.
Let me just make sure
hold
here.
On. I'm seeing Nova Norris on another site.
Well, I'm just going to check MLB.com.
MLB.com has Ross. Or at least they did when I pasted the schedule. A different site has Norris.
It is Tyson Ross. MLB.com right now has Tyson Ross.
Yeah, weird. Weird.
Let's see here.
It's Ross on a fantasy site too.
Norris last pitched on the 14th. Ross last pitched on the 13th.
Get it together, Fangraphs. Fangraphs has it in as Ross for some reason. Okay, I'm going to switch it out to Ross. Where are you hiding? Daniel Norris.
Ross was the guy, by the way, that I have interest in.
Okay. Well, let me refresh my sheet and we can talk about it a little bit further. Well, okay, so what's really interesting then to me is that our ownership projections were assuming that it was Norris because he wouldn't have been getting ownership otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Ross is he's not throwing hard. You know, there was a time where he was, 94, 95, 90, 93 to 95 mile per hour fastball guy. That's not the case anymore. Like, he's throwing 90. So I don't love that, obviously, but he's not exactly young anymore. And the slider is still a good pitch. The slider has always been his best pitch. A couple, like Tyson Ross' biggest issue, what people always thought it was like, the slider, he couldn't hit his spots. The biggest thing with Ross is he was so bad at holding runners. I remember reading an article on this several years back, and I thought it was just such a great article because it explained not only why he's bad at holding runners, but why that kills him. Tyson Ross would walk guys because we knew he threw that slider at such a high clip. That's one thing. But the fact that you would walk someone and then immediately they are on second base because they're stealing. That was the biggest problem. We're talking about around like the 2016, 2015, where he was walking guys, or 2014 and 2015 was walking, 3-4 batters per 9. Those were concerns. Anyone could steal on him. And you don't want to see that. That was his biggest issue. It wasn't that Tyson Ross was coughing up a ton of power. No, home runs were not his issue. I think only with the Rangers has he ever allowed, I guess, 1 home run per 9 last year, but has never allowed like a whopping amount of home runs. But in 2014 and 15, he allowed 31 and 37 stolen bases, Josh. So those, that is something. He's already allowed 3 this year in 3 starts. So I will say this much. If you like any speed guys for the White Sox, it's a very good stolen base matchup if they get on, particularly if they are patient and can draw walks. But I also think that there is some upside for Tyson Ross in this spot. against the White Sox team that has a propensity to strike out.
Yeah.
Swinging strike rate for Ross is only 9.2%. There's nothing fancy about what he's doing anymore. It is simply a White Sox team that at times will bend and will break simply because they got guys that are free swingers. So I have both sides of this game. I like both sides of this game. I like this a lot. I like speed if you can get it for the White Sox, but I also think that Ross makes sense as a cheap play, given the White Sox likelihood to strike out a lot.
Yeah, so I updated to Tyson Ross. He grades out a little bit better than Ivan Nova. He's just sort of in the same group as everybody else on this slate that isn't named Pat Corbin for me. So if he has little ownership, I have no problem getting to him. He's the third most expensive pitcher on FanDuel, so I will have very little trouble ignoring him completely.
Yeah, not FanDuel. I'm talking. Yeah, I was not. Just.
Oh no, I know. I'm just circling back because I know that I'm playing there. So yeah, he would show up in lineups for me on DraftKings because I would just be playing the ownership game on DK, and I can't imagine he's going to get a ton of it.
I like to play the strikeout game too. I mean, the White Sox have the fourth highest K rate against righties this year, 434 plate appearances, and if you look at their active roster from last season, Josh, they are at the fifth highest K rate. Talking active roster,
they strike out from time to time,
right? Yeah. So and like you have somebody like Moncada, who I won't say he's fixed that swing. By the way, I don't know if he's going to be in the lineup either. He should be. He was back in the lineup yesterday, right? Or no, was it yesterday? He got hurt. Yeah, he got tested for a concussion. Nevertheless, all I'm saying is when you look at these teams and you say, okay, where can I get potential upside and strikeouts? Because on a short slate like this, Minnesota's not striking out a lot.
No.
Washington, you're not going to get much from Pomeranz. Atlanta doesn't strike out a lot. We already talked about Soroka's price point. I think the White Sox are one of those teams where you can look to exploit it.
Today might be a day where it's not so much looking for strikeouts. It's who's the guy least likely to fail.
I mean, you could be right. You
might
possible.
win by just avoiding landmines.
It's very possible, but it's also possible that Ross has 8 strikeouts.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody's going to do it, they're going to do it against the White Sox.
Right, exactly.
Ross is $32 on Yahoo, which is middle of the pack. Everybody grading out really comparably there, outside of Corbin. So yeah, I would have a revolving door of SP2.
Okay.
Bats in this game, Tigers are a little bit more popular than the White Sox on FanDuel. They're essentially equals on DK. If you were going to be stacking up one of these teams, do you have a preference?
That's tough, but I would say that both of them are pretty equal to me, and that's not just a half-assed or a cop out.
I have them as literal equals on a dollar for dollar basis.
Right.
So
right,
I like that comp.
Yeah. Another thing is, Ivan Nova has never been bad against righties. I actually think that Ivan Nova makes for a decent play today as well, and I will tell you why. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 7 righties in this lineup. Goodrum and Candelario are your only lefties or switch hitters in this entire Detroit lineup. Ivan Nova, just look at his numbers versus same-handed batters. They're significantly better. His strikeout rate last year was almost double that of his K rate against lefties. And when you're talking about run prevention, this might be one of those games where if he gives you 5 strikeouts but manages to go 7 innings, you're going to be very happy with it. He had a 50% ground ball rate against righties last year too. So yeah, Ivan Nova has been significantly better against righties with a much higher K rate, 12% to 21% for lefty and righty K rate last year. In 2017, he struck lefties out at 12%, 20.5% against righties. So literally, you're getting almost double that number. And I don't think Nova's a crazy play or Ross, but I could see the offenses in both. I'll go with the White Sox just because the speed on the base paths makes them more appealing. If Tyson Ross continues to walk people, and he's walked 9 batters in 3 starts already.
Per my split ratings, so the difference of how hitters hit versus righties versus lefties, the entire Tigers lineup has a negative split rating against Nova.
Makes sense.
Goodrum and Candelario both better against lefties than righties, and then the rest of the lineup is all righties. So it's just one big negative column for splits.
Yep.
Interesting
Yeah,
stuff.
no, I mean, that I would think so.
Yeah. Favorite bat from the Tigers?
It would be Goodrum.
Okay. I would go Castellanos. 2,700 on FanDuel. 4K on DK is probably a little less appealing. He's $17 on Yahoo. No problem using him across the board. Miguel Cabrera on DK and Yahoo both looking pretty good. A little bit underpriced.
Okay. Yeah, Goodrum and then Candelario for me.
White Sox bat?
So it depends what the lineup. Wait, do we have a lineup? We do.
Tigers lineup's out, yeah.
Yep, we do have a lineup. That's interesting. The Tim Anderson bat flip was something else, wasn't it? Did you see it?
What do you think?
Dude, he tossed, he pimped a home run, as they say, and then he got hit the next time around, got plunked, and then the bench is cleared.
He got thrown out, but never participated in any part of it, right?
I mean, yeah, he got hit by. I think Brad Keller threw at him, but for these bats, go with someone who has speed. Like I think the speed matters the most here. I'd want to look back. Who has? Do you have anything pulled up here that we can? Because I'd have to do it right now.
You got to tell me what it is first before I let you know if I have
it. Stolen bases for the White Sox.
Absolutely not. I mean, I will pull that up. Team batting.
Yeah, we'll see who gets there first.
They are 5th in the league, 15 stolen bases.
Not bad.
Nope.
Not bad. I'm just pulling up the numbers now. Who has the swipe? Moncada used to steal a lot.
Tim Anderson has 6. Garcia has 4. Moncada and Abreu both have 2. James McCann has 1. So I don't even know who's stealing bases if Abreu and McCann are doing it.
Anderson for sure, and then Lori Garcia leading off here has what? Doesn't he have 4 or something? Yeah, he has 4. And so Anderson, Garcia, Moncada, obviously Abreu, but man, Garcia leading off with that speed, I like that a lot. If he walks, I guarantee he runs. I can't guarantee he'll get there safely, but I guarantee he's going to run.
You should also not guarantee that he gets on base.
Well, I'm not. That's why I'm saying if he does.
Sure. All righty. Final game for the early slate. Twins and Jays. Twins 4.9 run implied total. Blue Jays 3.6. It's a 63% chance to win for the Twins. Michael Pineda going for Minnesota. Clay Buchholz going for Toronto. Clay, just call it a career, man. 8,200 for Pineda on DK.
He was good last year.
Yeah, call it a career. 6.7 Ks per 9, a 3 walk, and 5.04 FIP via steamer. Best days are behind you, sir. I mean, so are mine. Who am I to talk? 66% expected ownership from Michael Pineda. How do you feel about that on DK?
It's up there. But I also think Pineda is one of those guys that when he's on can be really good. I think the price point's a little strange, but you might just have to bite the bullet on this one. 12% swinging strike rate to start the season through his first 3 starts. I like that for sure. Against lefties and righties, he has a 14.6% swinging strike rate against lefties, 10% against righties. Kind of strange there, but interesting nonetheless. And he has good enough stuff to where you're saying, all right, Michael Pineda or name another pitcher. I know the ownership is wildly different, but I do think he is a better option than than Soroka on DraftKings. I also think you can go cheaper to a Nova or a Tyson Ross and possibly get away with it too. I don't think that's a crazy idea at all. Pineda's velocity is down too. I mean, 2016 and 17, he was above 94. He's at 92 this year. Maybe it doesn't make a huge difference. He has managed to take a couple ticks off the changeup too, which is a good thing. You want that. You want as much of a differential as you can there, but I guess we'll have to I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens here. But he's getting a lot of whiffs on the slider to start the year, and on the changeup, 18 and 16% whiff rate on his two secondary offerings. There's upside with Pineda.
I cannot believe he's getting this much ownership. That is insanity. To have two of these guys getting 75% of all of the pitching ownership.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's also just surprising to me because like Nova and Ross, I'm not saying they're good pitchers. What I am saying is it's a 4-game slate. And if you're going to have ownership so heavily skewed towards Corbin and Pineda, I think it makes sense to go elsewhere. I mean, Pineda's been good this year, but he hasn't been great. If he went 6 innings with 2 runs and 5 or 6 Ks, you would not be surprised.
No, not at all. Yeah, I really don't like that ownership on Pineda. I have no issue with the ownership on Corbin. So I would really just like to shotgun spray that Pineda ownership to everybody else.
Sure.
I can't. Otherwise, it's just craziness. It's too high. It's too high. I assume. What do you think about Buckles at 6K? Kind of a tough sell here, right?
It's a tough sell.
Yeah.
But anything's really possible on this slate. So it's not like if somebody won a tournament with Buckholz, I would not be shocked.
No,
I really wouldn't. And look at the other options, and you're getting such high ownership on some of these guys. I don't know. He's not somebody I like very much, though. It's hard for me to make a convincing argument that Clay Buchholz would be someone that I like. Put it that way.
I agree. So let's talk about Twins bats. Pretty popular, and I think they should be. Max Kepler, Nelson Cruz, CJ Cron grading out really well for me. Marwin Gonzalez on Yahoo as a $10 third base option looks pretty nice. How do you feel about the Twins of the stack?
Yeah, I like them, and you don't have a ton of swing and miss here either.
No, not at all.
It just makes them more appealing when you're putting these balls in play. So, yeah, I mean, this is a lineup that's configured pretty nicely here. I like the Twins.
All righty. Get this Giants lineup in. We have almost all the lineups in for the early slate, just as soon as we finish talking about it. I should have went in reverse now that I think about it. Something to remember for the future.
Do you have a Toronto lineup?
No, Toronto and the Nats are the two that aren't out yet.
I got the Nats.
Yeah.
Robles leading off, by the way, makes him very appealing. I was hoping that might be the case because of the night and day game. That's why I mentioned it earlier.
Yeah.
And against the lefty, of course. So Adam Eaton's out of the lineup. Robles is leading off. I really like that.
Okay.
Rendon batting second. Gomes batting fifth. Dozier sixth. Soto Zimmerman in the 3-4. Man, I like that. I really like how this Washington lineup is constructed. I really like that a lot. Robles, Rendon, Soto, Zimmerman, Gomes, Dozier. Oof, that's nice.
Yeah. No, that is a really nice lineup. That's set up really well.
Yes, it is.
That's a nice balance. I mean, I liked them before. I'm going to like them a lot more now.
Another thing is you have outfield, third base, outfield, first base, catcher, second base. Meaning if you wanted to stack, 5 in this lineup, you can do it easily. If you wanted to stack 6 on Yahoo, you could do it and not run out of positions.
Let's close out Twins and Blue Jays quick since we're already at an hour for this 4-gamer because you and I are terrible at doing this efficiently.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, real bad. And we didn't even do anything dumb for this one.
No.
There wasn't like for 15 minutes we talked about baking quiches or something stupid.
I think you and I just we're at a slower pace today.
We are. I'm just tired.
We're kind of gears are grinding, you know.
Yeah, my body's pushing out all of the excess medication that I took for like 5 days. I feel myself sweating out expectorant and whatever else other things that are in there.
I don't have that excuse, but
no Red Bull, man. Red Bull gives you wings for real.
That might be the case, dude. I had to drink coffee today. What a miserable experience that was.
Why no Red Bull? How do you leave yourself like that? You should have that stuff on like Amazon Subscribe and Save.
Once in a while, I'll run out. Like, I mean, you haven't seen it happen. I don't know since we've been doing the show. Once in a blue moon, I wake up and I say, "Ah, shit, it's gonna be a long day."
You don't have like an easily accessible Red Bull source outside?
I do, but I wake up like not long before the show.
Oh, you couldn't make it after you got up at 9:10 or something?
I think I got up at 9:05.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's good.
So that wasn't
6:30.
I could have been like, "Hey Josh, hold on." I mean, literally it's down the street. I got a place a quarter mile down the street.
Walkable or drivable?
Oh, you could walk, but I would definitely drive.
Okay, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it were across the street, literally, you would walk.
Oh, well, yeah. No, you drive there in 2 minutes.
Okay, gotcha.
Or a minute,
gotcha.
But you walk there, it's taking you, longer than you would prefer.
Yeah. That's the whole reason. If you're going to get a Red Bull, you're probably not walking there to get it.
You're damn right. That's exactly right.
Favorite Twins bats?
Favorite Twins bats, just looking through the lineup. Kepler, I like Polanco. Polanco's been really solid, man. Cruz, Crone, and the top of this lineup again is one that I like. I don't think you need to go to a studio. There are a few catchers I like more, particularly Yan Gomes. But the top of the lineup is nice for the Twins. Buchholz has been all right though, man. I don't know. He's done a very good job of run prevention over the past 1+ years. So we'll see what happens here. I'm not totally convinced that Clay Buchholz is terrible anymore.
Oh, stupid Michael Taylor is going to jack me up on the Nats right now. He's not showing up correctly. Why is he not in Steamer? He's not going to be Mike. Does he have an initial in his name?
Michael A. Taylor?
Is that what it is?
Michael A. Taylor, yeah. But I think you should give us the bats you like from Minnesota, Toronto, and then we'll move off of this slate.
That's a good idea. Yeah, Kepler, Cruz, and Crone for the Twins. On the Blue Jays side, I ride or die for Billy McKinney in the leadoff spot always. Grichuk in the 4-hole now, starting to tumble, so I like him a little bit less, but he's still probably my second favorite Blue Jays bat. I don't see the Blue Jays as terribly stacky here.
No, I agree.
What do you like from the Jays?
Nothing really.
Okay. All right. Michael Taylor's name is now updated. These names, man, it's the worst part of this by a mile and a half. And then it always jacks up my Excel. Everything's just broken this morning.
If you want to go to McKinney, if he's leading off, fine, but he's been highly underwhelming in most opportunities this year. But he is. You're going to get him cheap. I guess that's really all that matters. There's just a lot of offense I like in this early slate, so I don't think you need to force in Toronto bats if you don't want to, and if you have Pineda.
There we go. Early slate is in the books, everybody. Now we shall move on to the main slate. 6 games on FanDuel. I assume 5 on DraftKings.
Pulling it up right now. Hold on 1 second. All right, so we have got ourselves 5 games. Yep.
Of course it is.
They got to stop with this 6 p.m. shit, man.
I'm not fond of it.
It's not necessary. Like, Yeah, if you have 2 or 3 if you have 2 or 3 games at 7 and then 2 at 6, totally understand it.
It's bad for the industry. It's bad for the people that are helping to make their sites be bigger.
Mhm.
It doesn't help us in our analysis.
It
And
doesn't,
it
and
doesn't
there's also a
change
lot.
the outlook of the contest in any way.
Right. There's also a lot of people that, work 9 to 5s and have to commute home
Yeah.
and don't have time. It's just, I don't know. It's silly to me because it's unnecessary. Again, if you only had a pair of games or 3 games, then yeah, I get that. You're at it, but you don't need to do it when you've got 6 games or 13 games. The other day they made it 15. Why?
Just to annoy me. Just to annoy me. What I assume everything is in life, since it's my simulation. Been made to aggravate me. So I'm going to grab our main slate ownership, and then we can...
Yeah, let's try and do this one a little bit quicker than the one before.
If we say that for everything, we will ultimately fail. Now we can move a little bit quicker. Look, it's better to spend a little bit more time on the early slate because we will cover the main slate in 2 additional shows throughout the day.
Yep.
So carries a little bit more weight. All right, ownership is in for all 3.
Pitching sucks, by the way, for this slate. Flat out garbage. Oh, I'm serious, man. It's bad.
All right, let's do this. First game up. FanDuel peeps, get excited. Yankees hosting the Royals. 5.3 run implied total for the Yanks. 3.7 for the Royals. It's a 66% chance to win for New York. Domingo Herman going for the Yankees. Homer Bailey going for the Royals. Let's refresh the old tables here and see how it shakes out. Herman, the most expensive pitcher on FanDuel at just $9K. He grades out pretty clearly as my favorite pitching option, but he is not the chalkiest pitcher on FanDuel right now. That honor goes to Tanner Roark for reasons that I don't understand. So, how do you feel about Herman here against a very high strikeout Royals team?
I like him.
Yeah.
I mean, if I wish he was on draft, I wish this game. I was gonna say I wish he was on DraftKings. I don't wish they added the 6 p.m. game. I wish that we would just stop doing these 6 p.m. games.
Yeah, you and me both.
In general, I mean, come on now.
Because you know what happens? You end up being sick, and then you take a bunch of medicine, and you forget that it's at 6:30, and you sit here and you open up your sheet, you update everything, and it gets to 6:55, and you're like, oh, there's still one lineup left, but I should probably put my crunch in. And then you realize that it locked 25 minutes before that, and you're a moron. That's me on Tuesday.
That would definitely not be solid.
Running 150 placeholders from 9 a.m. in the main slate.
Ugh, that's rough. That's real rough. Anyway, I like him.
Yeah.
The Royals will not be afraid to run here.
Nope.
They're going to run no matter what. Yeah. But just given the lack of depth of pitching, Domingo Herman to me is going to be the guy that far and away exceeds everyone else. Last year in 85 innings, he had a 27% K rate, 28% K rate this year through 13 frames. The fella gets strikeouts. The Royals strike out. What more needs to be said? I mean, seriously, at this point, there isn't a whole lot more that you need when you look at a field of pitchers like this. This guy can rack up the Ks, and that's pretty much what I'm targeting here. Everything else is secondary.
I'm with you, man. Yankees bats getting a little bit of love, 8% aggregate ownership on FanDuel. Royals at 5%, mostly just in the Merrifield, Mondesi, Duda trio. Are there any specific bats on either side that stand out big time for you?
I mean, Homer Bailey has been an interesting character for sure. A righty though, who has so against Cleveland, he was pretty solid, very solid actually. Against Minnesota, 8 strikeouts, not terrible. He's been getting strikeouts this year, but now he's coming to Yankee Stadium. He's not at Kauffman. He's not in a pitcher-friendly venue. You got the righty Homer Bailey, who has definitely been homer prone in the past. We saw, what happened when he was at Great American Ballpark. And by the way, he is getting a lot of strikeouts, and I wouldn't be surprised if Bailey gets another 6 or so strikeouts. But he has a 36% ground ball rate this year, Josh, and I think that'll probably not help him.
No.
The only thing is that I don't think there will be that many lefties in this lineup.
Projecting for 2 right now. Brett
Right.
Gardner and whatever Mike Tauschman is.
Right, exactly. But still, this is a tough spot, and I think that Homer Bailey will probably come back down to earth. And I have nothing against the Yankees stack simply because it's at Yankee Stadium and Bailey is very blow up prone, even if he's been decent.
5.3 run implied total. I mean, I know this is not the normal Yankees lineup, but I'd like to have this a little bit more, I think. I mean, we're about to find out. I'm going to refresh the sheet and find out what I got. So I might just be talking out of my bum here, but we'll find out in like 5 seconds once this macro refreshes.
So yeah, that's where I stand on that one. And
okay. Any Royals bats as a priority for you? I mean, I guess Mondesi would be the key guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine, but you're not getting any discounts on these guys.
No.
So,
I mean, obviously you have no problem having O'Hearn at any time, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, O'Hearn's always So you don't get a discount, but they're also not expensive. Like they're not crazy expensive. Mondesi's actually seen his price come down. He's the 5th highest shortstop. Merrifield's the actually tied 3,900 for the highest second baseman. These aren't as bad as I would have assumed. Give me the guys that have speed in this lineup.
Feel free to ignore everything I said about the Yankees. I'm essentially fading them. I have more Royals bats than I do Yankees as of right now.
Interesting.
Mostly just Merrifield, Mondesi, a little bit of Soler. But yeah, on the opposite side, a Judge is chalk on FanDuel. That's where I'm at right now.
All right.
Let's move on. Rays and Royals. Man, this Rays team is crazy. 5.2 run implied total for the Rays, 3.3 for the Royals. That is a 69% chance to win for the Rays. I don't know who's starting for the Rays, but Ryan Yarbrough slotted to be the guy that comes in. Andrew Cashner going for Baltimore. Yikes. Any interest in using Yarbrough? It's more of a question for you than me.
What Torinos did yesterday, man.
I think that he was okay, I guess.
He was excellent. 5 one-hit scoreless innings with 5 strikeouts in the win, 24 DraftKings points.
Yeah, that's nasty.
Yeah, but the thing is he only threw 70-some pitches. How many pitches will Yarbrough throw is the question. I don't know. That's concerning to me. You want to run him out there in tournaments, I get it. But you're not getting him at a super discount. It is a good matchup. I just don't know how many pitches Kevin Cash is going to let him throw. Like he's throwing 57, 49, and 16. Kind of weird. And it's concerning. So I like the matchup for him. I think he'll do a perfectly solid job of limiting runs, but I don't know how deep he's going to be able to go into this game. And he's also not like 5 or 5,500 either. And on the other side, of course, I like Tampa bats against Andrew Cashner. He does not miss bats, and
bats don't miss him.
Right. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah. I have no real interest in the pitching here. Didn't really get to much from the hitting side either. Rays are super chalk on DK, mild chalk on FanDuel, less chalk on Yahoo, where they're kind of pretty heavily priced. Not a lot of ownership going to the Orioles outside of Jonathan VR on FanDuel and DK, a little bit chalky. Price tags are nice. He's only 3,400 as a second base leadoff option for FanDuel. He's got second base shortstop eligibility on DK, so it makes him a little easier to get to. I got a little bit of Rio Ruiz. I have no idea why. And I got a little bit of Richie Martin Jr. So I think that Baltimore is getting forced into my into my stacks as like a piece of pay down option. I'm not really comfortable with that. These guys are getting no love whatsoever. Yarborough's not going to get any ownership, so it's going to be something I take a look at because I do not like the Orioles today.
No, me neither. I like Tampa bats. I like Brandon Lowe. G-Man Choi was great to us yesterday, 2 for 2 with a home run. Lowe was awesome. This is a team that I'm going to continue to run out there pretty happily. So that's pretty much where I'm at. Austin Meadows is expensive. Andrew Cashner, since the start of last season, has an 8% swinging strike rate against lefties and a 6% swinging strike rate against righties. I mean, just crazy bad numbers, man. Crazy bad numbers. Expected ISO above 200 against lefties. I get that the park is not Camden Yards, but it's still, I just don't have much faith in him to be able to limit runs against a pretty decent Tampa Bay lineup here, and they have a 5.3 run total as well.
Sorry, I'm having a BVP argument.
About what?
Just, saying that it's useless. As per usual. I wish that I got more Rays, and I never do. I didn't get anybody more than 5% here on Choi. These guys are pretty heavily chalk, so apparently I'm fading the Rays today. Did not work out well yesterday.
Interesting. You faded the Rays yesterday?
Yes. Well,
that seems why
I was under.
See, there are just some spots where and maybe this is right, where I don't care as much about ownership when they have a matchup that just seems like very difficult not to produce. And David Hess is generally one of those guys that it falls in that category for me.
Yeah, David Hess, not great. Not a great player whatsoever, or not a great pitcher whatsoever. Yeah, I didn't have a lot and didn't pay off. Too much Red Sox yesterday.
What's that?
Too much Red Sox yesterday.
Okay.
Favorite bat on either side?
Any lefty from Tampa?
Yeah, I'd say Choi. If we're talking DK, 3,700 is kind of crazy. I really do like VR on FanDuel for 3,400, leading off as a second base option. It makes for a really nice one-off spot.
Yeah, I mean, all right. I don't have anything specific about VR that I love.
Basically, FanDuel just specifically for me, cheap price, position. He checks off those boxes. Leadoff spot. It's all the things that I'm generally looking for. Brewers and Dodgers. 4.5 run implied total for the Brewers. 5 for the Dodgers. It's a 55% chance to win for LA. Zach Davies going for Milwaukee. Oh, God, I'm going to whiff on this again. Urias,
yes. Yeah. That was one that I would always struggle to get. I finally locked it in the dome.
Julio Urias going for the Dodgers because that's the easier way to say it. 20% expected ownership going to Davies and Urias. That doesn't even feel right when I do it. Anyway, both guys, 20% expected ownership. Talk to me about how you feel about these guys as, I guess, whatever, SP2s, SP1.5s.
I don't get the Urias. I don't get the ownership there. I mean, first of all, he's only going to be able to throw. He did throw 87 pitches last time out, which was encouraging, but he got rocked against Milwaukee. I think he probably gets beat up a bit here. This is not a Brewers team that I like picking on whatsoever, man. I just don't, especially not at Miller Park. The problem is I don't see the upside. I don't see what the upside is here. What is it? I mean, you're hoping that Urias gives you like 9 Ks in the 85 pitches he throws. He's not going more than 5 innings.
I have him projected for 4.7 Ks.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying you're hoping he does this. I just don't see it. You know,
Same.
a lot of the best hitters for the Brewers are lefties, but Lorenzo Cain, Ryan Braun are still, two very talented batters from the right side. Aguilar is no slouch. Yelich is always good. It doesn't matter who he's facing. I mean, I just have the 20% ownership you said on Urias. That is surprising to me.
It's really, really surprising. It's way more surprising to me that Zach Davies is getting 20% ownership against the Dodgers, but that's neither here nor there. I don't like either of these guys at their ownership. I would happily be on the opposite side.
Me too.
Oof. I don't get it. Relatively neutral with the field on the Brewers and the Dodgers in terms of stacks, in that I will have 8 to 10% aggregate for both teams. I like both sides. They're both high upside stacking situations. I'm going to have a lot of this game, but it's not the pitching side.
Agreed. By the way, this is Urias's last start before moving to the bullpen. So be interesting to see if that has any impact on his pitch count.
I would guess that they're less likely to just be like, go for it, man.
Right.
Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't tend to be like, okay, you go 8 today, and we're never going to let you go more than an inning after this one.
Exactly. Both pitchers in this game are not appealing to me. I already talked about the hitters I like from Milwaukee. From the Dodgers side of things, Zach Davies is kind of an interesting pitcher when it comes to how he profiles, but he's never been someone that's going to strike out a lot of bats. He gets above a league average amount of ground balls, so that's good. Contact righty, gets a good amount of grounders, but he's also somebody who, when it comes to the platoon splits, they're pretty equal. I mean, a little bit. He allows more base runners to lefties, but then doesn't allow many home runs. I mean, you look at last year, this dude, I think he only pitched like 60 innings, but he limited lefties to a very small amount of home runs. Go back to 2017 where Davies threw 190 innings or so. He allowed, I think, 20 total home runs on the season. Was more to lefties and more to lefties at home. 1.57 home runs per 9 to lefties at home. The big thing here is whether or not he has very pronounced platoon splits. It doesn't matter because you just have such good lefty bats in this Dodgers lineup that you're going to run them out there. And when they're firing on all cylinders, this team is going to hit 5 home runs.
Yeah, lots of lefty bats to like. I even got to 5% Max Muncy today, so it's going to be a crazy day.
When you look at that,
that's like lock buttoning Muncy for me.
Oh man, dude, he's been fine this year.
That's a great way to describe it.
He's got 9 home runs already, dude.
Nah,
he has 4.
He could have had 9, and I wouldn't have known.
I know. No, you actually wouldn't have cared. You'd have just kept saying he's terrible.
Yeah, no, he's fine. Look, he's just fine. If he hit higher in the order, it would change the game up a lot. But it's really hard to justify a first baseman that hits 6th. There's just so many of the guys that do that profile similarly.
Oh, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, that's all. Favorite Brewers bat?
Braun or Cain, but Braun against lefties is pretty appealing. He still hits lefties really well.
Here's one for you. Ryan Braun's ownership right now on DK, 8%.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, he stands out big time.
I like that quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Where is he at in my home run model? It's got to be near the top. Nope, not near the top. Interesting. 22nd. Urias doesn't give them up crazy. Park factor isn't too wild.
Yes, it is. Park factor? Miller Park? Miller Park for home run purposes is a monster hitter-friendly park.
Not for righties. 103 last year. 112 for lefties. Shout out Christian Yelich. Yeah, 103 from Fangraphs last year.
Really?
Yeah.
That seems wild.
Well, 112 for lefties is the number you're really looking for. That's the that's what's making it crazy in the aggregate. But yeah, no, it was behind.
But it was still a top 10 power park for right.
Yeah. It's an above average right-handed power park and a highly above average, or no, an elite left-handed power park.
It was second best for lefty power, 10th best, or I think ninth best for righty power.
Yeah, 3 teams tied at 103. Yeah, I didn't want to. I wasn't trying to downplay that at all. It's still certainly a home run or a big time park factor. But when I saw that it was 103. When I was looking it up, I assumed that it was higher than that too. I didn't realize the gap between lefty and righty was so massive. Favorite Dodgers bat?
Favorite Dodger bat? Well, Bellinger. Seager his price is coming up a bit, so that's not as fun. Verdugo's price is also coming up. These guys are very expensive for this one, particularly on DraftKings. Bellinger 55, Peterson 52, Verdugo's up to 4,500. Turner, I don't know if he's going to be in the line. 43, Max Muncy 48, Kike Hernandez 47. Whew, man, they're pricey, but I do like them. It's just a matter of whether or not you can get them into your lineup easily.
Yeah, I would say Bellinger, probably my favorite individual bat.
God, they're expensive.
Had the cough. All righty. 3 to go. Rockies and Phillies. Coors Field, 5.4 run implied total for the Rockies, 5.6 for the Phillies. Temporarily, let's one quick word. Let's pour one out for Nick Pivetta. Hope he enjoys AAA. Where's is he going to AAA? What's the Phillies AAA affiliate now?
Is it the Iron Pigs? I don't know. I don't remember. I think
like are they AAA? I thought they were double. I almost said the Red Barons, and I was like, nope, that's not 15 years ago.
Yeah, honestly, I should know.
You don't go to any Iron Pigs games?
No, not at all. Things like that, I don't really care. They're AAA. It's the Iron Pigs. Yeah,
is it? I didn't know they were AAA.
I'm not crazy. All right, you made me think I was crazy.
No, I didn't really know. I've been gone for so long that I never went to an Iron Pigs game.
Right.
Anyway, Kyle Freeland going for the Rockies. Zach Eflin going for Philly. Kyle Freeland, 25% expected ownership on DraftKings. Zach Eflin, 17. How much?
When was the option? Yesterday?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Sorry, go ahead.
How do you feel about 17% owned Zach Eflin in Coors?
I actually don't mind Eflin. Only because it's just a brutal pitching slate, and he's super cheap. I don't think it's the craziest idea to assume that you might get a decent performance from a guy at Coors Field. I will play guys at Coors if I think it makes sense, and if it's a slate that, kind of calls for it. The only thing is with Eflin, so he doesn't throw a big looping curve or anything like that. I don't think his arsenal is one that will kill you here. And he's really cheap. But really just look at this in context. You've got Paddock, we'll talk about him, Orioles, Davies, Freeland, Stratton, Cashner, and then bullpen situation for Tampa. There are not a lot of pitchers. Zach Eflin is a lot better against righties than he is against lefties, a lot better. So a lot of it will come down to what the lineup looks like for me. If this is another righty-heavy Rockies lineup, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't going to give some consideration to him. Winds blowing in at 15 miles per hour from left center field, low 60s, high 50s here at Colorado. So it's not crazy temperatures or anything like that. If you have a lot of righties in this lineup, I likely will have interest in the Rockies. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really hard to avoid bats here for me, especially if the pitching's
Well,
going to get
that
hot.
doesn't mean I'm not targeting bats.
Yeah. I think Freeland grades out really, really well. That $6,200 price tag is nice. He should not be the third cheapest pitcher. He actually grades out on a dollar for dollar basis as my favorite option on the entire DraftKings slate.
Wow. See, I would much rather have Eflin than Freeland, and it's not even remotely close for me.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the Phillies are just the Phillies offense. The Phillies offense makes life really tough for opposing hitters. And while Kyle
Such a
Freeland,
homer.
I'm not though, because I really haven't played the Phillies that much. I just don't like targeting against this team and against a team that can get, really heavy from the right side of the plate. Not to mention Scott Kingery has somehow looked incredible. Maikel Franco batting out of the 8-hole has been crazy good. Like, I guess Segura being out of the lineup should help, assuming he's I think he's supposed to be back soon. But I mean, look, it both of these spots are sketchy. What I'm saying though is if I get looking at the Colorado Rockies lineup, if we get let's see, God, they face so many damn lefties and they do nothing against them. God, they face 3 fucking lefties in a row. I'm trying to go back 4. God, trying to go back to the last time 5. I'm trying to go back to the last time they faced the righty.
6.
Let's see. Come on. Finally. They had 6 righties, and their lefties were Blackman, Tapia, and Walters the last time they faced a righty. That was April 11th. So, yeah, that's all I'm saying here. But, I mean, look, tell me this. Actually, let's do this because I just gave you why do you like Freeland? What's your reason for liking Freeland?
Over Eflin or just in general?
Well, you said he grades out at point per dollar as your best pitcher on the slate, so you like him more than just Eflin.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think that he can get to his salary's target score at a really high rate. I think there's a really nice amount of swing and miss in this Phillies lineup for the situation. The only thing that's really giving me pause is the fact that he's still getting 25% ownership, but I think that's just a function of his price tag. I only have him 0.2 of a point ahead of Eflin, but I have him being significantly more likely to get to that score that you're looking for on DK. What do I have his Ks at? Where are you hiding Freeland? 5.2 for Freeland, 4.8 for Eflin. I mean, the big piece for me is that I think that Freeland can go deeper in this game. That's a little bit more important to me on FanDuel than it is on DraftKings, but he has a much higher at least speaking from FanDuel on this one, he has a much higher likelihood of being able to grab that quality start bonus compared to Eflin. Now we're talking on the margins here, so I don't want to overrate what I'm saying. I just think I really like Kyle Freeland. I like him when he pitches in Coors because it doesn't seem to be much of a problem for him. It almost makes me want to play DK for how much I like him today.
Fair enough.
My only concern is that I don't like going to a lot of Freeland and then getting beat by the Phillies. But I do have a ton of Phillies bats and Rockies bats because this is the most advantageous offensive matchup on the slate. The Phillies are not getting much love at all on FanDuel. Only 8% aggregate ownership, which is kind of crazy for me in a matchup in Coors. So I got to a lot of McCutchen. I got to enough Kingery. Harper's Harper. Harper at 7% ownership on FanDuel is just so silly to me. I don't care that it's lefty-lefty. I don't care that I like Freeland. Like, that's a guy I want in Coors, no matter who he's facing.
Yeah. Look, I obviously like the bats here a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. But there's certain spots I don't think I'm going to force, only because there are other batters that I like a lot. But if you're getting a Coors bat that's the same price as another one, like as a Rock or a Dodger bat, then yeah, of course, I'm going to like them a lot. Freeland does a good job of limiting power. I take nothing away from him. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes out with another strong start here. But if it's a righty heavy lineup again for the Rockies, I'll have Rocky stacks in there. If I'm one offing, it would probably be like Blackman at the top, Arenado or Story, of course. But I wouldn't be surprised that if there's 6 righties in this lineup, that Eflin has a decent start either. Both sides of this one are interesting, only because pitching is so bad on this slate. And, it's Coors Field, so we should have runs. It's the 2 highest run totals on this one. You can throw in the Yankees there on FanDuel tied with Colorado. Phillies are at 5.7 against Freeland. So, yeah. But again, you have good matchups elsewhere. Tampa against Cashner, Yankees against Homer Bailey, Dodgers against Zach Davies. And there are even Milwaukee against Urias. I think there you can get there. It's not like Coors is the only game we're targeting for hitters.
Apparently, it's the only game that I'm targeting for hitters. They are
Really?
my top 2 exposed stacks. Yeah.
See, I think Freeland is still a good pitcher, and Eflin has proven himself much better, at least against same-handed hitters over the last year or so. So, I just don't think it's like there's 2 gas cans on the mound, and this time of year, Coors plays hitter friendly because it's Coors, but not as dramatic.
Yeah, I think I'm getting to so much Philly just because they're going under-owned. Like, they're projected on FanDuel for half of the exposure of the Rockies, and I don't think that they grade out that way. So they're getting higher ownership caps. So I think that I can get some leverage on the field. And then the Rockies are just sort of going to pop up here just because. I mean, Arenado is 4,600 on FanDuel. Story's 44. Everybody else is 3,600 or less. Like, FanDuel's just slow to the draw on updating pricing for Coors. So sometimes you just kind of have to get to these guys and shrug your shoulders.
I'm with you.
On Yahoo, 27% expected ownership to the Rockies on the aggregate. Charlie Blackman projected for 45% ownership. They have 5 guys at 30 or higher. Just very, very chalky on the Y. For the Phillies, 15% aggregate. McCutchen and Kingery getting the most of that. Well, actually, Kingery and Real Muto getting the most of it. McCutchen coming in third.
Okay.
All righty. Moving on. Angels and Mariners. Chris Stratton going for the Angels. Felix Hernandez going for the Mariners. It's a 4.8 run implied total for the Angels, 4.6 for Seattle. Stratton getting 26% expected ownership on DK, $5,800 price tag, I assume is lowest? Nope, second lowest. Oh, yeah, Andrew Cashner's on the slate. That's silly me. Yeah, $5,800 for Stratton, 26% expected ownership. How do you feel about Stratton here against the Angels? Or against the Mariners, rather.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll talk about the other side in a second. Chris Stratton, there's just what form of upside are you getting here? The only thing would be really okay. It's a pitcher friendly park. He's dirt cheap, and that's about it. And he's going to face a good amount of righties. There's nothing I can say about Chris Stratton that has him standing out as a superior play for any reason whatsoever. This is not a guy that gets a swinging strike rate over the last 4 years, 7, 8.8, 8.5, 7.7. I mean, the guy just does not miss bats. He has a pretty league average ground ball rate. He benefited from being at, what was formerly known as AT&T Park.
I was going to say, I liked pitching or liked getting him in home starts last year.
Right. It's a whole lot different now, man. And again, Angel Stadium definitely will help. He's not going to a pitcher friendly park, but he's also not a very good pitcher. So there's nothing here outside of saying he's really cheap. Maybe he can go 6 innings and give up only 1 run and get the win, but that's, there's nothing appealing about him.
No. So circling back to that last game, like, I would rather have Eflin than Stratton.
Oh,
so
well,
you can understand my calibration there.
I definitely would.
The fact that he's 26% owned is basically a function of this slate. I can't imagine wanting to do that. That's pretty not appealing ownership to me. And then Felix Hernandez getting no ownership, nor should he. This looks like a terrible spot for him. He's just not that guy anymore.
He's not. It's crazy though, because I would think if there ever was a decent spot for Felix, it would be against the Angels team that just, God, what do they have? Everyone's injured. All their good batters outside of Trout, no Ohtani, no Upton. I mean, Simmons makes contact, but that's about it.
They would be a lot better if they could just turn Trout into Yelich somehow.
Sure would. Yelich definitely rivaling him for best player of all time.
Yeah. How do you feel about bats in this game?
I'm kidding, by the way.
No kidding.
Well, Mike Trout is always in play.
Yep, for sure. You don't have to talk about it. For all the BVP people that are going to ask questions about Trout today, ask those on a different show.
Doesn't he have good BVP against Hernandez?
He has good BVP against everyone because he hits 300, 400, 600 against everybody.
Yeah, the thing is, right, when you look at Trout against Hernandez, I remember looking at this before. He has 965, or sorry, 900. He has 96 plate appearances against him. So you say, okay, he's batting 365. Well, he's the best hitter on the planet.
Yeah.
If you give Mike Trout, 100 plate appearances against most pitchers, guess what? He's going to hit around there.
Yeah.
He's batting 365 this season across 63 plate appearances. Like, it's not crazy to think that Mike Trout has a high 3 average against a pitcher who hasn't been good for years now.
Think about it like this. What would you say? 90, how many? 95?
96 plate appearances.
96. We'll say a month. At the end of April, if someone had 96 plate appearances and they were hitting 350, would you be like, holy shit, this guy's the new Tony Gwynn? Or maybe you would be like, oh, he's got 96 plate appearances and it's April. It's not a sample. It's just not a sample.
Not just that, though.
He took place over 5 years.
Mike Trout is going to have above average numbers against most pitchers, especially the more he sees them.
Yeah. Yeah. And Felix Hernandez, every single time that Mike Trout faces Felix Hernandez is a worse pitcher than he was the time before that.
Correct.
So, yeah, that's also going to slowly make it better and better. When someone is getting better on the aging curve and the other person is getting aggressively worse, chances are they're going to be, better in individual matchups.
That's right. 4.9 run total for the Angels here. You can always look at Calhoun or whoever you want. Trout's really the guy here, though. I mean, he's the one that stands out, as he always does. I'm not looking to go to any catchers, Kevin Smith or whoever they have. You don't need to go to Pujols here. If you wanted some Justin Bour,
I'm in there.
Yeah, fine. Justin Bour is very reasonably priced, but I don't think you have to dig too deep into this Angels team. And then with the Mariners, they have a total of, what is their total at? 4.7.
Yeah.
The Mariners for me would be more of a stack than a one-off because I just don't.
It's so hard to stack.
The Mariners.
Outfield, first base, outfield on FanDuel. And the only other difference on DK is that Bruce has first base eligibility as well.
Yeah, I guess it is pretty tough.
Yeah. Because the bottom, it's not like you're chomping at the bit to be like, oh, how can I get Ryan Healy in this lineup?
Well, Ryan Healy has third base eligibility on DraftKings. Yeah. So that does help.
I mean, if he's not hitting, like if he's hitting higher than 8th, it becomes more appealing, but that's just a really tough sell.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a really difficult team to stack. Or they would look good. It's tricky.
And Haniger was sick yesterday, so I don't know if he'll be in the lineup.
Favorite Mariners bat?
Favorite Mariners bat? I mean, it would probably still be Encarnacion.
Yeah, I agree.
That's kind of a cop-out. I mean, because I don't think the matchup is great. I don't think it's bad, so I'm just going to pick their best hitter.
Yeah.
And
I mean, he's my best dollar for dollar guy on the
yeah, I don't
Mariners.
know if Haniger's going to be in the lineup anyway.
True. You ready to close it out?
Let's do it.
Padres and Reds. Padres 4.2 run implied total. Reds 3.3. It's a 59% chance to win for the Pods. Chris Paddock going for San Diego. Tanner Roark going for Cincinnati. Batten down the hatches. Tanner Roark, 48% expected ownership on DraftKings, 29% expected ownership on FanDuel. He is the chalkiest pitcher on DK. He is the chalkiest pitcher on FanDuel. Talk to me about Tanner Roark first, and then we can get to Chris Paddock.
Do I have to?
I think we have to if he's going to be owned like this, right?
I think we'd have to. Surprising? I guess it's not that surprising, though. People love to target the San Diego Padres, and this game is in San Diego, so I get it. And the run total here is the fourth lowest on the slate, third lowest if you take out the Yankees game and you're talking DraftKings. Look, I get it. I get it. I just think that what did you say is projected ownership? Right
48.
Now? If Tanner Roark, I'm going to keep it very simple. Okay, if Tanner Roark is going to be 50% owned, talking about a guy that has had a swinging strike rate below 10 in every season but one. In one season, it was 10.1. This season, he's getting 6% swinging strikes on his pitches. If you pull it up on Brooks Baseball, you're going to get a lot of pitches where he's not getting any whiffs. So, like on the season, I know it's early, but Tanner Roark is throwing the sinker a third of the time. He's got the curve, the slider, a little bit of change up there, and the curveball is a 5% whiff rate. The slider's at 16, so it's been okay. That's his one decent pitch, but it's not unlikely that Tanner Roark goes out there and just has a middling, very mediocre game here, and everyone's playing him because he's facing the Padres at 50% ownership. This is a spot where I will just take the risk and go somewhere that no one else is going, because I don't think, given the ownership, I don't think Eflin or Freeland are all that much more risky than Roark, as crazy as that may sound to some people who, see Roark as the clear play here.
So I completely understand why he's getting there. He grades out as my second best dollar for dollar option on both FanDuel, on DraftKings. On Yahoo, he is
cash. I'm not saying that.
Yeah. It's really weird to see a pitcher with such a massive dog be so chalky. I get it. It's the tail of the slate. I would not want to get all the way up to 50%. I mean, that just seems like a silly number. I don't really know what Tanner Roark would have to do to kill you. I'm not even sure he has that in him. So I would naturally be underweight on him. How do you feel about Paddock, though? 9,100 on DK.
Now, by kill you, you mean kill you if you fade him, right?
Yes.
Right. Okay. I'm just making sure, because totally
narrow. You got to thread a pretty thin needle.
It'd be very difficult.
Yeah.
Unless everyone else. No, everyone else on the slate isn't going to finish with negative. What am I doing with Paddock?
Yeah.
What's his projected ownership?
28
on
DK
on DraftKings. Whew. I mean, he has thrown 89 and 88 pitches over his last two. That's encouraging. You at least want to know that if he's cruising, he can get up there, right? I want to know that if he looks good, he can actually throw an extra inning. Is he still not? Oh, you know what? He is. I think he's on there as Christopher. He is on Brooks Baseball. Oh, wait, no. Do they not? Is he still not in? What am I missing about this that he's not? Someone tell me why Chris Paddock is not in Brooks.
Let me find it. I'll do your work for you. Yo, he is not in there.
I'm telling you, he's not in there. No. Under Chris or Christopher.
I mean, he's in there if you click on the name. I'm on it now.
Oh, how'd you get to it?
I clicked on him.
Oh, but if you search him, he didn't pop up, right?
No. But luckily, when I got to the website, it showed me his name.
Did it?
Yeah, as soon as I get to Brooks Baseball. On the dashboard, Chris Paddock. Got him. Don't know why you can't search for him. That's super weird.
Matchups, yep.
But yeah, you can get to him.
So, but that's really weird. You type that name in, and it does not come up. Huh. Weird, eh? All right. Well, whatever.
Fantasy Cruncher Dave is in YouTube chat asking how can he donate bits. Wrong show, my man. That's a Twitch show that's not as popular. Just kidding. Just kidding. I got jokes.
All right. So let me just break in here because we're almost done. The change up for Paddock, as we know, pretty nasty stuff. And even at this price, I'm kind of interested in him just because, and this is why. Very simple. Like there's not much analysis to this, Josh. If somebody's going to come out and rack up strikeouts, it's probably not going to be Felix Hernandez or Tanner Roark or Zach Davies. At Coors Field, I would imagine that Eflin and Freeland could still have a relatively difficult time with that. Stratton, Cashner, and everybody else. Paddock would probably be that guy if it were to happen. He does have the ability to. So that's the very rudimentary analysis as far as Paddock goes. He has upside, and we obviously haven't seen it yet, but we know that it's there, and we know that he's got good stuff. So that would do it. That would be the reason for me.
Okay. How do you feel about bats? This is a spot where I'm actually a little heavier than I would have expected. Both sides even, which I don't really like getting to the Reds.
Well, who are you on?
So they're really cheap to get to on FanDuel. And so I need to talk specifically about that since I'm going to be looking so much at Airman. On the Padres side, it's Margot, Reyes, Machado, Ian Kinsler, Austin Hedges even. They're getting no ownership, so this is sort of an ownership pivot, especially to Roark at 29%. That's a reason why I'm getting so much Padres. And then on the Reds side, they're just really cheap and kind of easy to stack. So Votto, Suarez, I know Puig's been bad, but Puig, Schebler coming up a little bit for me, Peraza, not really exciting, but it's a second base option, so I don't mind getting it in a stack. I'm going to be on this game more than I should be.
Okay. I mean, that's
unless
fair.
Roark's ownership craters.
I would have more Padre bats for me just because of how popular Roark is. That's simple. Again, like I said with Paddock, strikeouts on a slate like this, ownership on Roark to me seems pretty high, really high actually. And I'll go the opposite direction on that just because I can. Okay. But that's just really a leverage play there. And I don't think Roark's that good.
You would be right. 10 games up, 10 games down. Time to get ready for the early slate.
All right, then.
Locks at 12:10, so we've got 40 minutes until early lock.
50 minutes.
Yeah, that's good math, man. Oh, we need to stop this. MLB Strategy is the promo code. 50% off your first month with us. Any package you choose, including packages with Fantasy Cruncher. So if you want to check us out, that is the code to use. Shout out to Yahoo Sports for being our presenting sponsor. I will drop the link into chat again. If you're going to sign up at Yahoo, it is very beneficial to us for you to use this link. It's the way that it benefits us most. So if you are looking to sign up, please use this link and use the promo code OSMO to get yourself 30 free dollars in Yahoo Sports rewards points, which I am able to remember now, right off the top of my head. Laffy, You got Deeper Dive coming up at 5. Adam will have the deep dive out in early afternoon, live before lock, myself and Chris Spags. You got anything to plug?
You just plugged it, fella.
Perfect.
SiriusXM, Osmo Radio, Saturday, 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern, Sunday, 3 to 5 p.m., but not this Sunday because that's Easter, and I'm not doing it. Can't do a show on Easter, not this one at least.
Can't say I blame you.
Yep. Sirius 210 XM87.
There you go.
Fantasy Sports Radio.
Alrighty. There it is. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Good luck today. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Bye.